And that is like a different a little bit the meaning of the enlightenment. Then he became the enlightenment after the 6 years. And then he told Dharma how you can to become the enlightenment. Generally speaking, about the Dharma is quite very huge. In India, they say it is like if you collect, if possible, to collect all the Buddha's teachings, and they say it is the 84,000 teachings, but sometimes you say it's like if 500 elephants to carry is quite difficult. That month he taught it. But it's now, in the presently, in the Buddha's teachings, 84,000 representing that, we have 100, like 8 volumes, quite very big book. And that is the current, we have that. And also it's like until his die, we can to say it's until like 80 years old, like all the etc. So month, days, if you calculate it, he become like 82 years old. Until there he taught the Dharma. And that is the first small kind of, how do you say it, biography or history of the Buddha. And also when we enter into any spiritual paths, it is a very, very important thing. First time we need to analyze the teacher. For example, if I'm entering into the Christianities, I need to check the Jesus Christ. If I'm entering into the Muslim, I need to check the Mahatma. If I'm into the Hinduism, I don't know, first the Hindu teacher, or maybe I need to check the Shiva, who it is. And if I become the Buddhism, first time I need to check the Buddha. That is the most important, how it is, the life, how it's become a really teacher. This person is really can to teaching, can become the really perfect teacher or not. And that is like very important. And this day is very easily to get the information from the Mr. Google. And therefore, you don't need to give many informations. From ancient times, sometimes it's very difficult when we are like searching different spiritualities. And also ancient and now is a little bit different. Ancient times we cannot to research, and then it's like we choose to kind of follow our family's tradition, family's culture, family's religious, and like this. For example, if you go to the between Bhutan in Tibet, and there are some jungles, and if you go to in these jungles, there are some human beings living very special way, like a kind of in Africa or in the Brasilia, this Amazon. You know, there are some special human beings naked, like kind of Aboriginal or something, like similarity in between Bhutan and in Tibet. And if you go to there, they have very strange religion, very strange systems. They own their culture, they own like kind of, if you go to them, and sometimes very, very funny, you know. For example, grandchildren's married, then the grandparents are killed, and they make the food. Like this kind of unbelievable things. If you go to there, are you doing crazy? It is not really correct. If you say like this, maybe they say this is our culture, our religious, our path. Why you criticize it? They never accept. Maybe now, more lesser, probably almost disappeared. Like this, ancient times, we very much closed. and then it's difficult to get many informations. But now these days open the world, and everywhere we get informations, and therefore when we enter into any kind of spiritual path, it is very important to research the path, who founded, the founder of the teacher, and how it is. That is most important. Therefore, it is like kind of, if someone's included myself, interest to follow the Buddha step, we need to explore or to research more Buddha himself. It's very important. And then is the second is the teaching is, as I said, is quite, Buddha's teaching is very much large, very much profound, very much details, and also it's like all the Buddha's teaching is very much connected to the psychological, only modern way to say. It is talking about most times like our own individual body, speech, mind, and the teaching itself really is talking about the body, speech, our mind, and especially connected to the mind. But anyway, it is like quoting the philosophical terminologies, we're talking about the true truth. All the Buddha's teachings to make the reason, and there's true meanings, is the true truth. We say relative truth and the absolute truths. And through these two truths, and then it's like kind of to explain the realities. And also through the analysis of this true truth, we need to, to realize it, or to investigate, or to understand our realities. Reality of the relative, and the relative of our body, speech, mind, particularly we would to say, because in the relatively, most our importance is the body, speech, and the mind, these three things. According to these three things, we have outer object, and we have inner object of the different consciousness, and between this, and we have like varieties of the phenomena, and good phenomena, bad phenomena, and so many, there's multitude like kind of phenomena, and we have. Of course, it is related to our body, speech, mind. But of course, if we do not analyze and just to follow normal way, and to say like a kind of carrying the diluted way, or carrying just ordinary way, okay, this outside we have many different appearances, world, inner beings between ourselves, and we are like kind of morning get up, wake up, get up, breakfast, lunch, dinner, sleep, wake up, and all the time this kind of alternating day and night, our life, and spend like this. And if we can to more approach, to more close, it's a very funny things. Really, it's very funny things. For example, Buddha, he said that through the relative truths. Relative, but truths. Relative truths. It's relative, it's temporary. It's nothing there is like fixated permanently. For example, our current, present body, present speech, present our minds, it's very much temporary. Each week or second is changing. We cannot fixate it. It's temporary. And now I can say my body, my world, my mind is very healthy. Wow, wonderful. And this is permanent? No, it's temporary. If we don't know 1 second after what's going on, because it's a relative truth. It's truth. Presently, I have body, I have feeling, it is my body and I can to touch. I have voice, I can to talk and I can to express. I have mind, there is a concern, different. It's truth, direct, valid cognition, truth. Your body is there, my body. But it is temporary. It is really relative. Each moment is changing. And when we are changing, what's going on, we don't know. For example, sometimes also we can just say, oh, I'm sick. My body is pain, voice and mind is depressed. But also it is a relative truth. It's 1 second, maybe changed, become healthy, become nice. It's possible. Therefore, in the relative truth, it's a truth, but it is a relative. And then we can to say the more and more to approach to the relative truths. Then it's like he's talking about there's 8 examples of the illusionary or illusions. Like if really to analyze our lives and the relative body, speech, mind, it is like a rainbow. It's to see, to hear, to touch. But really to something to hold it is very difficult. Like rainbows in the spaces, very like colorful coming. Here we can to see, but to touch, to really to something concrete things to find is very difficult. Like this. And also it's like dreams. And this is also a little bit truth. Like when we just a moment, 1 second we look, I see, I hear, I can touch, I should remember it. And 1 second it's changed. And to change afterwards, then it's like where it's gone, how it was. Like for example, before we came to here, it's already become a history. And those are bring back, those are where it is gone. For example, even the science to looking at this, it is sometimes the science has become very scary. I have one science, it's like his name's like doctor, like Kandu. He has many books of science, and particularly he's like this person is quantum physics, and he's researching, measure everything. And then sometimes he says, I'm scared. And each picosecond outer world, inner sentient piece between my body, everything's changing something. And change to the where they gone. And it's difficult to see. Like this. And then you need to analyze, Buddha said again and again, relative truth. Because relative, it is a truth, but it's the relative. If we choose to believe the relative truth, because it is the truth, we don't think about the relative part. We just say the truth. Oh yes, you say truth. I am truth, I'm here. You are truth is there. Look, all the appearances is the truth. Truth are truth. What do you mean truth? And he said relative. This means it's the deceptive, dream, hallucination. And you should to more approach, to more analyze. And therefore, through this relative truth analyze, we need to find that really what it is, not what it is. And surely there is a source. We haven't got any source, we cannot to be here. And we are here is something because it's according to the relative truth, we can touch, we can hear, we can to see many different things. But there is no kind of really is like substantially something existent or really concrete things. It's very difficult to say. And sometimes Buddha, he said, is just in the relatively express, very, how do you say it, basically. Of course, it's difficult to say really profoundly, deeply, because we do not understand. And he said, if you really to analyze form, sound, smells, and taste, everything are, like he said, form is empty. Empty is forms. Form is not different emptiness. Emptiness is not different. What do you think? Then we look at any kind of forms. It is very approach to look at these forms. It's to really to approach. It's become very, very bizarre. If we do not analyze, okay, I can to see mountain, house, cars. Oh, they are really existent. If you don't study this philosophy of the relative truth, absolute truths, if you go to the outside, someone's to say these things are really relative, are difficult to, I can't to say existence, and they say you are crazy. Everything's existence, I'm here, you are there. Are you crazy? Did you drink a lot Georgia when they say you? And then we cannot argue to them. We can just say, okay, yes, yes, I'm exist, you are exist, oh yes. Existence. Many, many people, beings, they believe very much. I am existence, I'm like really, truly exist. My body, my speech, my mind is existence. And also sometimes like it is like a kind of deathless. I'm like kind of for the permanent, and like this, everything is, and then it's a relative truth, relative. Relative is relative. Today it's like, now it's like this, but certainly it's kind of there is some changing process, then it's very much difficult to accept, you know. It is like someone's changing, life has changed, sometimes like this, and then it's like people say, I do not believe, I don't understand. Why is it like this? There is in the life, this relative life is like up, down, very much. And most people like inside believed everything is truly existence, like kind of believe that. And then it's like sometimes up, we are all the time laughing, believe that. But changing times, we confuse it. And then it's like we say, I don't understand why. And then going down, and we cry, and sometimes problems. And therefore, in the relative truth, he says like relative, but it's the truth. But it's the truth, but it's relative. We need to analyze, and through the analysis of the relative truth, and then it's like we say it's like we should to find the absolute truth and what is the really realities. And these two truths are the really is the crucial point of the Buddha's teaching and the principle of the Buddha's teaching. And generally, these two truths are the truth of our life, the truth of our realities. And if we analyze to more and more that, and then it's like easily to understand our body, speech, minds. Like for example, in some in the Western young generation, they say it's like, how I can to find my path, how I can to find myself, and to say these kind of questions. This is like a kind of a little bit Buddha, he was at the beginning like this. If we do not analyze, we do not understand ourselves, we never analyze the true truth, we choose to follow someone say something and like this, and then sometimes we very much kind of confused and how it is going on in the relative realities. And also in the relatively, according to our body, speech, mind. Of course, we all the times to chasing the true feelings, the feeling of the happiness, the feeling of the sufferings, and these true feelings for us very important. And of course, it's like the sorrow feeling is we don't want as much as we can to get rid of, but how we can to get rid of. And we choose to ask someone to take away my sorrow. It's very difficult. And there's one person saying, oh, I'm very much suffering right now. I call to the God, it doesn't help me. I call to the Buddha, it doesn't help me. I'm meditating emptiness, it doesn't help me. And I recite some mantra, praise, it doesn't help me. What can I do? I'm completely hated all those kinds. And now I'm desperate. What can I do? I kill myself? And I make joke, this guy says, yes, very good person, you can kill yourself. And it's very nice. Why you say like this? Because without analyze, and all the times we're looking for something outside, and just someone to help, it's quite very difficult. That is the most in the Buddhist point. It says like, through this philosophy, or the true truth, or through the analysis of the true truth, we need to open our mind to be the tolerant of the suffering and the happiness, to analyze how we can to hang or how you can to deal with these two feelings. And also it's like Buddha, he said this. Finally he says, the root of the sorrow, root of the happiness, root of the outer like kind of samsara and nirvana, whatever, everything's the root is our own individual mind, nothing else. And if you say it's like God or Buddha, deity, or any kind of, beside your own mind, what is existence? Who can to give us to free from the sufferings? Old age, sickness, death, only by your mind. And therefore, and he all the time sending the message, and to say inside, through the analyze the true truth, to discover your own mind. That is his in the teaching main point. And it's like this. Maybe we can just stop 5 minutes. Okay.